2011, a resident of Jerusalem is out for a stroll when a bright light over the old city catches his eye. He begins to film, and this is what his camera captures. A bright ball of light hangs over the old city. Strange on its own, but then it drops down to just above the buildings, hovers, and amazingly zooms straight up, literally in the blink of an eye. Watch this last part again. The ball of light seems to be just above roof level. There's a bright flash that stuns the onlookers.
Whoa!
And it rockets up and out of frame in less than a second. This isn't just happening anywhere. The orb, or whatever it is sighted over one of Earth's holiest places, the Dome of the Rock, also known as the Temple Mount.
The Dome of the Rock is one of the most important sites in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, where Muhammad ascended into heaven. It's also the site where Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac to God.
It is also where Solomon was said to have built the first temple, and centuries after it was destroyed, where Jesus cast out the moneylenders of the Second Temple. Could we be witnessing a modern-day miracle?
We have lots of stories where people, when they are having a religious moment, see lights in the sky. Because we're at a holy site, maybe something holy is happening.
This idea of a UFO Holy Land connection was revived in 2020, when an Israeli space expert sent eyes looking towards the heavens with a startling claim.
Haim Ashad, who was Israel's space security chief, went on record claiming that Earth was being visited by extraterrestrials. You literally had the highest ranking official of Israel's space program coming out publicly stating that there was a galactic federation of alien races.
Ishad, who was promoting a book at the time, has never revealed his sources, but he's not the only believer in this federation. It is said that the Federation consists of hundreds of thousands of members and was founded millions of years ago.
Well, I believe this statement by the Israeli Space Secretary is the truth. This whole idea of the Galactic Federation can be traced back to the Eisenhower administration in 1950. There were numerous reports that he had contact with an extraterrestrial.
Haim Eshed says that as part of the pact, we're allowing aliens to conduct experiments on Earth, and we built a joint underground base on Mars. So is this object a UFO, a known craft, or a bit of video hocus pocus? First, could this be Israel's Iron Dome missile system? It has been used to detect and shoot down over 2,000 rockets.
The problem with that is it shoots up. It doesn't come down like this does. Number two, the object ends up hovering. The defense system doesn't do that. As far as whether that could be a drone, there's a lag time. When you add full power, we didn't see that. It just went boom, straight up in the air. So that takes drone out of the equation.
That seems to narrow it down to one option, a UFO. If the video is real, we run it by Michael Primo's expert eye.
So I began the analysis with media interrogation, noted that there was insufficient digital information to verify it as a camera original. The metadata was scarce.
Whoa!
That likely means the video was run through at least one software program, stripping away much of the metadata.
Upon further analysis, we applied macro block visualization. This essentially means that the software took that information out, and those gradient values aren't actually recorded in the original recording. So in conclusion, this recording should not be considered authentic.
Whoa!
It looks like someone had some fun making this video, so we're gonna call it a hoax. But this in no way disproves the Galactic Federation claim. According to Haim Eshed, the aliens will make themselves known to the wider world once humankind is ready for the truth. A group of treasure hunters is battling heavy winds in the Egyptian desert in search of lost pyramids. It's May 2013, and the team is working with amateur satellite archaeologist Angela Mickle, who's directed them to these coordinates.
It was a very large triangular mound, and I was like, wait a minute, this could be undiscovered.
Suddenly the wind picks up, and the team is stopped in its tracks by the sound of a whisper in the air. Take another listen.
When I heard that voice, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It sounded like some kind of an incantation.
Did someone on Angela's team say it?
They were like, oh no, we didn't put the voice on there. We don't know what it's saying. They also said they didn't think that it was Arabic. And I'm like, what could it possibly be? Could it be maybe an ancient Egyptian dialect?
Could the whisper be an ancient curse? Journalist M.J. Benayas says that theory leads back to Howard Carter, the man who discovered King Tut's tomb in 1922.
Locals warned Carter that he probably shouldn't be messing around in the tomb of a dead pharaoh. And sure enough, after Carter made his discovery, strange things started to happen. Members of Carter's team began to drop like flies.
The tale goes that 6 people, including Carter's secretary and financial benefactor, died in the following years because of the Pharaoh's curse. Is that curse what Angela's team recorded? Our analysis starts with audio expert Ben Gottesman. First question, is this really a voice or just wind?
So here's wind, right? Which you can see is this extremely intense, low-frequency chunk.
Now, here's the whisper. Next, Gottesman compares the sound of the whisper to a human voice. Here's a human S sound. Now listen to the whisper.
Just looking at the spectrogram, the hissiness of the S's matched what we humans produce.
Okay, the whisper sounds human, but did it happen in the Egyptian desert, or was it added later? We turn to forensic analyst Michael Primo.
I noted no instances of fading, a difference in background noises, anything that would be suspicious of that recording, just kind of pasted into that section through the spectrogram analysis. So there is no direct evidence to support that this was layered into the recording or added after the fact.
So it looks like we have a real voice saying something, but what? Next, we send the audio to our Egyptologist, Nick Brown. Could we have proof of an ancient curse?
So the tricky thing with ancient Egyptian is it's a language that's died out, so modern scholars don't know actually how to speak it.
But according to Brown, based on hieroglyphics, we do know that sounds such as Jah, Sin, and Ka were part of the language. As he listens, Brown doesn't hear enough to think this is ancient Egyptian or a closely related language.
I have to say that I can't explain what the noise is.
Still, he can't rule out its authenticity.
I think there is some possibility that in the future we might be able to tell, as some scholars are trying to study and crack the code, of ancient Egyptian and the language and how it was spoken.
So we've determined that this whisper is definitely some sort of human-made sound. And it wasn't faked, but whether or not it's an ancient curse is yet to be determined. So our verdict? The whisper is an unexplained phenomenon. As for the team, they've continued to search the site and have found evidence of limestone and pottery shards. Could it be pyramids? We'll let you know if they find anything. It's a sunny summer day in Beirut, Lebanon. A stash of fireworks accidentally ignites, and then this. What you've just seen is an explosion at a warehouse containing 2,700 tons of highly combustible ammonium nitrate caused by those fireworks. The massive explosion can be heard for 100 miles and makes headlines around the world. But it's what happened next that caught our attention. A photographer snaps a photo of the smoke.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
As we get closer, we see what many people describe as two eyes, a gaping mouth, and a tail. It looks like a leering, demonic face. We return to Alexis Brooks, who covers the unexplained, and asked her to research eyewitness accounts of the event.
A number of individuals representing a variety of age groups, but all living in the area, all saw the image and all felt inherently that this image represented an evil that they feel is around them.
Natural phenomenon or not, this isn't the first time people have reported evil faces near catastrophic events. In 2020, a devil-like face was reported in the wildfires raging across Australia. There was this demonic face in the smoke above the Notre Dame Cathedral fire. But perhaps the most haunting was this face. I don't have to tell you the date or the place. So the question becomes, how unusual are these demon cloud formations? Is there a scientific explanation, or are other forces at work? Our experts, renowned theoretical physicist Dr. Michio Kaku and atmospheric scientist Dr. Deanna Hentz, have been digging into this mystery.
Anytime you have a plume of extremely hot air moving up in the atmosphere, you can end up with these pockets where there is no smoke or where there is smoke, and that can lead to all sorts of funny shapes.
According to Hentz, the holes that look like eyes and a mouth can be explained by the motion of heated gases from the explosion. Dr. Kaku says that after seeing shapes similar to eyes and a mouth, our brains do the rest.
When I see these fantastic images that look like something spectacular in clouds, I realize that this is probably something called pareidolia.
Pareidolia is the tendency for your mind to see a face or other familiar shapes in a random or unrelated object.
We see it because our brain is hardwired for seeking patterns. It seeks out patterns even when there's no patterns. It was good for our evolution because 9 times out of 10, there was nothing there. But 1 time out of 10, there really was a tiger hiding in the bushes, and it saved your life.
Okay, so we've heard from our experts, and they say the face in Beirut was made by the gases in the explosion. The verdict? This is a natural phenomenon. But there are certainly plenty of true believers out there who feel these images are proof of evil forces at work. It's October 2021 near the Taima Oasis in northwest Saudi Arabia. Photographer Satish Javili is trekking through the remote desert area to document a magnificent sight. His shots show a monumental rock formation in the shape of a rounded rectangle. It appears to be a monadnock, which is an isolated mass of stone. The 18 by 27-foot ochre-colored slab is covered in prehistoric petroglyphs of horses, camels, and hunters, shown in stark relief and detail. But these 4,000-year-old drawings are not the most notable feature of this formation. That honor is reserved for a perfectly precise crevice that divides the rock in two. The crack is so straight and exact that it seems impossible it could be natural or even man-made without the most advanced precision tools. What's even more remarkable is that each half is balanced precariously on a pedestal, yet the formation remains standing after millennia. Satish says he's never seen anything quite like it.
It is simply mind-blowing, the way the rock has been split. The archaeological specialists have gone there, but nobody has come out with the right answer.
The large, solid boulder looks as though it was split in half with the aid of a precision laser. It's hard to believe this perfect crack down the middle could have been accidental. So there are a couple of things I want to show you with the Al Naslaa rock. First of all, this pedestal right here. This pedestal right here. Built for monuments to rest on, right? Take a look at the line down the center. How does this happen? If you had a stone saw, could you cut the stone that perfectly? Again, there are petroglyphs all through this rock. This rock was created hundreds of thousands of years ago, and it has certainly spawned wild and amazing stories. Journalist Eric Grunhauser says one theory is that the people who drew the glyphs 4,000 years ago also split the rock. But did they have advanced enough technology at that time?
The ancient cultures of the area were working with much more rudimentary tools than one would expect to be able to create something with such precision. It's almost as if someone would have had a laser or some sort of highly precision saw to create this sort of break.
There was a nomadic people roaming the Arabian desert a few centuries later who were known for their engineering skill.
It could have been created possibly by the Nabatean people, same culture that created the Petra site in Jordan, whose knowledge and expertise would have possibly been advanced enough to create something with such precision as we see in the Naslaa formation.
But even the Nabateans didn't have access to high-tech tools like laser cutters and circular saws. So the exactness of the cut has led some to speculate it could have been made by advanced ancient visitors from another planet.
Is it possible that the Naslaa formation was created by extraterrestrials? Was it left as a gift, not unlike the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey, to push humanity forward, to inspire us?
As early as the 5th century BC, the Nabateans began carving elaborate multi-story building facades into the red sandstone cliff faces of Petra. But that site is in Jordan, 450 miles away from the Naslaa rock, and it involves more complex carvings than a single straight line through one rock in the middle of nowhere. So that might be a stretch. Let's see what our experts can dig up. Physicist Matthew Shadagis investigates to see if the rock in Naslaa could actually have been made by man or aliens.
So I've taken an image of the Naslaa rock, and I've actually drawn two perfectly straight lines from my computer. And what you can see in several locations is that actually the rock pokes past the straight lines. So this gap is actually not perfectly straight. Humans could create cuts in rocks, and nearby civilizations here are known to have done that. No need for ancient aliens.
Since the line isn't actually as perfectly straight as it looks at first, perhaps it was made by people from the region. Archaeologist Dr. Ed Barnhart says nearby ancient civilizations like the Egyptians had special techniques for cutting into rock without high-tech tools.
The typical way that Egyptians would split a stone like this would be to get up on the top of it and peck holes into it in a line. Then, as they pecked the holes deep, they'd then put wooden stakes inside each one of the holes.
So the Egyptians would put the stakes in a straight line like the one seen at Naslaa.
And then they would water those stakes like you water a plant. When the wood expanded together as a line of stakes, they would pull the rock apart, and that split will travel through the whole stone and split it.
But geologist Dr. Bob Anderson says there aren't any telltale signs of this construction technique that you would expect to see on the top or sides of the rock if the crack was man-made.
There's no chip marks, there's no pieces. You don't even see fragments on the ground around it that would say that if you were chipping and breaking.
So could this crack be caused by a natural disaster like an earthquake?
I realized that this monadnock, or this isolated rock here, is not isolated. There's almost a trail of boulders going back. They're all cracked at the exact location. You can see that the crack is a result of regional tectonic features.
So Anderson believes the rock may sit on a fault line, and it's likely an earthquake or shifting tectonic plates created the crack not just in this boulder, but in other rocks along the same fault line. Or it could also be that the crack is a joint, which in geological terms means when a rock breaks naturally without displacement. It's rare, but sometimes the fracture can divide the rock in an unusually straight line. Another possibility is that freeze-thaw weathering may have caused the crack. But no matter how it was split in two, Anderson thinks erosion may have played a part in its near-perfect appearance.
The reason it looks so clearly cut is because it's been willowed out by the wind. It's being almost like sandblasted and polished, which has opened up that crack more.
The ground around and under the boulder eroded so much that eventually it was left just resting on these two natural pedestals. Someday the forces of gravity will likely cause it to collapse. The Naslaa rock has baffled scientists for centuries, but we think we finally found the true answer. Our verdict? Tectonic activity created a crack thousands or even millions of years ago. It was later perfected with erosion, which also made those pedestals the rock now rests on.